Good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate you taking the time to be part of our webcast. This afternoon, we're going to be discussing the topic of onboarding, crossboarding, and offboarding, elevating the employee experience. So my name is Jennifer Van Ursel. I'm a senior solution consultant here at HR Strategies Consulting. I've been helping companies connect and maintain talent for over 20 years. So I've been in HR, I've done HR consulting, and right now I really help our clients elevate and manage their HR business transformations. So today we're going to talk about onboarding, offboarding, and crossboarding. And really, creating that great employee experience starts even before the employee joins the organization, right? And it continues all the way until they leave. So onboarding, crossboarding, and offboarding, these processes can really derail or elevate your employee engagement and their success inside the organization. So today we're going to talk about some key trends in these three areas, and this includes the evolution of HCM to HXM. We're going to talk about how onboarding and crossboarding can increase your employee engagement, how offboarding can make employee separation smoother, and help turn those ex-employees into brand ambassadors. We're going to talk about experience management, surveys, and pulse checks. And then at the end, we're going to wrap up with a demo of SAP SuccessFactors onboarding, JAM, and Qualtrics. So this is the employee life cycle, right? We start here up at the top with attract me, get me started, development, manage performance, engage and motivate me, recognition, and then wish me farewell. So when we talk about it, it's really important to get the holistic view, and this graphic really shows it all. So onboarding, right? This is the initial phase of the life cycle, and it really starts off with attract me, getting me started, and then develop me. Whereas crossboarding is throughout the employee's career progression, right? It's going to give them additional responsibilities, promotions, assignments, and it really is going to impact your employee engagement. Whereas offboarding, so as an employee's career ends, either voluntarily or involuntarily, the organization's offboarding practices not only impact the employee leaving, but all the employees still actively working around them. So we really need to make sure that all of this impacts employee engagement positively. So let's start off with a little bit about onboarding. A staggering 20% of employee churn happens within the first 45 days, which means you're right back at square one all over again. And we all know that the average cost of replacing an employee is 16 to 20% of their salary. So let's look at some key onboarding statistics. 88% of organizations don't onboard well. And 58% of organizations say that their onboarding program is focused on process and paperwork. And while most organizations only focus on the first week of onboarding. So if we know that great employee onboarding can improve employee retention by 82% and productivity by 70%, and if 87% of HR leaders consider improved retention a critical or high priority for the next 5 years, then why aren't we focused on a great onboarding experience? Well, the biggest onboarding challenge is inconsistent application. The average onboarding new hire experience consists of 54 activities. 54. So managers will say that the top three biggest challenges they face with onboarding are inconsistencies in the application of the onboarding process across the organization, competing priorities, and measuring the effectiveness. So let's look at how we can address these issues to really better the onboarding experience. We're going to look specifically at consistency, easing the time burden, and doing more than just paperwork, as well as updating your onboarding process with the latest trends. So people often confuse onboarding and orientation. So orientation is the nuts and bolts. It's the transactional pieces, right? It's setting them up for payroll, enrolling them in benefits, ensuring they have a handbook, a computer, etc. Whereas onboarding is the process used to welcome and train your new employees while capturing their excitement of a new job, and it's critical to their success. So onboarding is not a one-day event, but rather a process that begins at as early as their acceptance of the job and extends as far as their first full year of employment. So studies have shown that the new arrival's primary concerns are three things, right? My job, my boss, and my coworkers. So the process of familiarizing new employees to their position, their work, and their coworkers is onboarding, and it takes time, right? So if not done effectively, the new hire may leave your organization. And we just said it costs 16 to 20% of their salary to replace them. So onboarding is a process that really welcomes and integrates the new hire into their new position, so they become engaged and committed to their role. So onboarding needs to include activities. Hopefully you make it fun, use buddies to streamline the new hire experience. It's one of the most important elements that employers should invest in, right? The new employee will reach productivity a full 2 months sooner, functions as an integral team member quicker, is less likely to quit, and more likely to become an active member of the organization, all of which equates to huge financial savings on the part of the organization. So let's look at some of the latest trends, right? First of all, our employees now expect the same consumer level experience as our customers. And that consumer level experience consists of all interactions we have with them, as well as our systems and technology that we use. Right? End of the ex-employee. Well, social networking has made everyone a critic. People will have a platform to say whatever they're feeling, so let's try to ensure those feelings are positive. With data analytics, well, best run businesses are really intelligent enterprises that turn insights into action. They collect insights from customers, employees, at every touch point and use powerful technology to sense opportunities, risks, and trends. They then turn this intelligence into actions across the business. This enables them to improve employee experiences and deliver the products customers need, all while helping them to improve efficiencies, adapt to challenges, make confident decisions, and drive innovation. This analytics ability, not only to gather the data, but being able to take actions on it, has led to the transformation of HR, which is human resources transactional, to HCM, human capital management, and now HXM, human experience management. So what is human experience management? Well, we defined HCM, which was a big leap from the transactional HR, where we would approach our employees as assets, right? Whose current value can be measured just like any other investments and assets in our business. Well, now we're moving to human experience management, where we don't treat our employees like interchangeable assets. What we do instead is we put them at the center of what powers our business. So we start caring about our employees as much as we do for our customers. So in good times and in bad, all talent businesses have the same goal, right? To run their best. They want to hire the best people, offer the best products, and deliver the best experiences to both their customers and their employees. They want to manage their spend carefully, run efficiently, adapt to challenges, and make confident decisions. Well, insight really comes from two types of data: the operational data, which is the O data, and the experience data, which is the X data, up here in the upper right corner, or X plus O, right? So the operational data is really telling you what's happening. That's what your current systems are giving you. That's what's in your sales pipeline, how much you're spending, how many applicants are in your pipeline, right? How many hires do you have? That type of data. Whereas experience data tells you how people feel. It tells you if they're happy, if they're unhappy, but more importantly is the why. So with the tool we're going to show you later, we can show you how we can gather real-time insights from both that X data and the O data to guide your business decisions. And we use that to deliver continuous innovation, to embed intelligent technologies to suggest and nudge actions, and then to create those individualized end-to-end experiences for our employees. So things have been getting really exciting. And then COVID hit, right? So COVID hit us all a few months ago, some of us harder than others, and it's really affected our lives, both personally and professionally. So what has it done professionally? Well, it's changed a lot of our working arrangements, right? A lot of companies are struggling, so a lot of people have been laid off. So our teams have gotten more nimble, right? We're dealing with matrix, we're working with agile, with different types of networks, also different working arrangements. We've looked at flex time, flex locations, and everyone's working from home. There's also been a much stronger focus on employee well-being. That's both physical and mental well-being. How do we ensure our employees are healthy, are nurtured, but also supported and still part of the community? Right? How do we keep them engaged and in touch? So due to this working remotely, an efficient, consistent, high-touch onboarding system is now even more important than ever. So let's make onboarding pop. So we have pop, right? So first P is paperwork, right? That's our policies, our procedures, the legalities that we have to ensure. The O is organizational bonding, and that's really what I call that's the warm fuzzies, right? That's making sure they feel like they're a part of the team. That's where those connections are going to happen. Often that's done by the hiring manager, but it can be anyone in your organization. And the second P is participation. That new employee has to participate in this process, completing their paperwork, taking their training. So let's go into each of these with a little bit more detail. Right, so the first P, paperwork. This is the orientation part, right? This is our legal forms. So this is the tax forms, the company forms, our policies and procedures. That is the basic requirement for all of our employees. It covers everything from payroll to benefits, holidays, expenses, cybersecurity training, interactions with other employees, and more. Right? Procurement. Well, employees need computers, right? They need cell phones, they need credit cards, they need parking passes, they need keys. That's where we ensure that new employee is going to get everything they need in order to function their job properly. And especially now, also having to ship those items safely and securely. So this is the O, the organizational bonding. This is what I call the warm fuzzies. This is the key part to separating your onboarding experience from others. So I mentioned this is usually done by the hiring manager, but it can be done by HR, anyone else inside the organization, or you can even have a team approach. The point is to bring the new hire up to speed faster, make them feel like they're an important part of your organization. So understanding the team's mission and culture, this is where you're going to tell the employee the story of the company and the brand, why the business was started, the needs it addresses, how it's evolved over time to meet the changing needs of the customers. Meeting with the department leaders, these discussions are going to help them understand the part each role plays in fulfilling the company mission. This is also a key part of the onboarding process. 72% of employees say that one-on-one time with their manager is the most important part of any pre-boarding or onboarding process. Job shadowing, well, that's often a new hire buddy, right? This can be a day, a week, on and off over a period of time, depending on how the employee's role and how they're going to be interacting with the different departments play in. And of course, understanding the job role and performance. This is an opportunity to reaffirm how the employee's position is going to fit in the overall mission and vision of the company and show them how they can make a difference. The personal training plan, no matter how experienced an employee is when starting a new job, training is a must. It could be something company specific, it could be health and safety, it could be harassment, but everybody needs some sort of training plan. And mentoring. So setting up mentoring relationships with a more experienced employee can help them integrate into the role more quickly. And setting goals, well, this is really important that the new hire knows exactly what is expected of them, how quickly they need to get up to speed, and what they're going to be measured on when measuring their performance. The last piece is participation. So we want to give the new employees a way to do as much possible before they start, right? They're excited, so let's capitalize on that excitement. And with COVID, we need to make them feel welcome and involved even more than ever. So electronically signing the paperwork not only saves time and trees, but if done properly, then your system could automatically bring in standardized information such as their name, their address, their phone number, their social, so they don't have to write it or type it over and over, right? It ensures consistency, there's less risk of typos, but getting your new employee to meet with the team, that's another one that's going to help learn who they are and what they're about even before they start. And as we mentioned before, if you can get those new employees to start that training, right, whether it's health and safety, it's standard operating procedures, it's your harassment policy, then they don't have to spend the first couple days of their job just doing that. They can actually start learning their job. So cross-boarding. So cross-boarding is about leveraging the company's existing resources instead of searching for new employees. This is going to help with cost effectiveness. Cross-boarding empowers organizations to assign an existing employee who has the right talent and skills to a new role within the company. This reduces costs associated with the recruitment process, as well as onboarding the new employees and training them. It also is going to help with employee motivation because cross-boarding gives the employee the opportunity to take on new roles, new learned skills, and be recognized. And of course, this leads to retention, right? By empowering our employees to develop professionally, as well as reassure them that they can advance their careers through your organization. As a result, this is going to help with employee retention. And of course, engagement, right? This is not only an opportunity to reinforce your company's values, beliefs, and vision, which your existing employees are keenly aware of. So cross-boarding really formalizes promotions and lateral moves by putting the same structures around that new hire, right? So a new hire buddy, the training, the goal setting, all those same structures as it does for new employees. And offboarding. So making offboarding memorable is not always an easy task, right? But it is very crucial, right? We need to still treat employees who are leaving warmly, regardless of the reason behind their departure. You know, a memorable farewell will have employees speak positively about our experience, which will in turn increase your chances of them becoming a brand ambassador. Keeping in touch with departing employees, even forming an alumni network, can help with talent acquisition, right? Your reputation in the marketplace and brand management. So retrieving insights. Departing employees can offer honest feedback about your organization since they're no longer dependent on it for their livelihood, right? We all do exit interviews, but how can you get honest, constructive feedback out of them? So we're going to show you with our tool, our Qualtrics tool in the demonstration portion. So ensuring compliance. So an improper employee offboarding process can pose a huge security risk to your organization, right? This is why it's important to ensure that all critical information, tools, and access to company systems has been dealt with. And this ties into to protecting your assets. So yes, this includes getting your equipment back, right? The laptop, the phone, the parking pass, the keys, any equipment that's been loaned to the employee, but there's more to it than that. So let's assume an employee was fired in a massive layoff, or he or she quit due to a workplace conflict. Will the employees exact their revenge? We need to ensure that practices are in place to diminish any type of destructive behavior. And also, lastly, we need to prevent productivity drops, right? So when an employee leaves, the day-to-day activities that are handled by him or her will be interrupted. And as a result, there might be a considerable drop in productivity. So we need to ensure smooth transitioning of their duties to others, right? The structured process to minimize productivity loss during that time, which is often 2 weeks. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, and we just need to ensure that smooth transition. So now let's sort of transition to the demonstration portion of our webinar. So I'm going to do a few overview slides on what we're going to see, and then we're going to jump in and see the SuccessFactors onboarding module and the Qualtrics experience management tool. So promising engagement is one thing, but delivering it is quite another. So SAP SuccessFactors is uniquely in position to help you deliver on the engagement of people to purpose, because we look at employee experience through the lens of your total workforce. So this includes full-time employees, part-time employees, even contractors. And we help you expand the transformation of the employee experience beyond the walls of traditional HR. So this is going to ensure that all employees will have the right information at the right time and in the right way, so they can consume it and do what they need to do in order to connect to your purpose and drive results. And of course, right now, with everyone working remotely due to COVID, it's even more important that everyone has this information. And when we're talking about onboarding, ensuring that they have exactly what they need when they need it, instead of overloading them with everything at once. So we discussed earlier how we're moving to HXM, Human Experience Management. And this slide shows how we can combine the X data and the O data, right? So that's the experience data and the operational data to get the most out of our talent throughout the full employee life cycle. And while our focus today is on onboarding, we just want to give you a quick reminder that SuccessFactors is a comprehensive HXM suite that encompasses all pillars of talent management. So that's recruiting, onboarding, learning, performance and goals, succession and development, compensation management, as well as a modern set of core HR tools. We call it Employee Central. So that's our employee record keeping, our organizational management, our payroll. We even have a HR help desk form, benefits, time and attendance, right? So only SuccessFactors really gives you both the depth and breadth, offering you to run nearly all of your HR processes from a single system. So a quick overview. So SAP has been recognized a leader in the last 36 out of 36 analyst report, been in the leaders quadrant in all of them for both full suite and individual modules. We do have over 125 million cloud users. SAP spends 3.4 billion euros annually in R&D. And we have over 300 dedicated legal experts to ensuring compliance in 99 countries. This means that all of those legal forms that you need, especially for payroll, right? All of our tax forms, any other legal forms we need, are included in our system. Jam is our social collaboration tool. So think of it as a cross between LinkedIn and Facebook. It allows both curated content from HR and pure social sharing and interactions. So during COVID, this is a really great way for our teams to interact, share ideas and dialogues, and we're going to see an example of it shortly. So Qualtrics is the newest addition to the SAP Cloud family. It's the most powerful, intelligent, scalable, and automated research platform on the planet. Qualtrics can help your organization with all types of engagement surveys: employee engagement, pulse checks, onboarding, offboarding, even customer satisfaction surveys. And the best part is the analytics and action plans that it comes with. Much more than just numbers, Qualtrics really dives deep into the results to not only recommend actions, but tell you which ones are going to have the greatest impact. So we're going to look at both onboarding and offboarding surveys in just a minute. And here's just a few of the Qualtrics X data offerings. So let's get in the system and have a look at it. So what were the issues that we had? You guys remember we were talking about onboarding and what were the issues on why companies weren't doing more of it? Well, there were too many steps, right? There were 54 steps. It was inconsistent across the organization, and it was difficult to measure the effectiveness. So we're going to address the number of steps and the inconsistency now, and then we'll look at the measuring effectiveness when we look at the Qualtrics. So remember, we said we're going to make onboarding pop. So we're going to start with the first P, and that's the paperwork. So we are logged into the system right now as Tessa Walker. She is our HR business partner, and so she is taking charge of the paperwork. This is the least glamorous part of it. So we also have, unfortunately, the least glamorous screen to look at. So this is the paperwork screen. So on it, I can see a lot of information here. I can see how many tasks I have, how many tasks I'm waiting on others for, how many I have overdue, and how many are completed. I can see here I have different onboarding steps, right? Can have my onboarding USA, I have my I-9, my I-9 re-verification, I have my offboarding steps, I have a Pennsylvania steps, I have offboarding, I have global, I have cross-boarding, and I even have some COVID. So each of these will have its own individual steps inside it. So let's stay right here for a bit. I can see what step it's in, who it's assigned to, when it started, if I have permission, and as Tessa, I do, I can view it. I can view any documents that are here. I'm not sure if Cherry has any. She does not. I'll show you someone who does in just a second. I can audit this trail and see what's happened to it. I can reassign it because I have permission to do so. SuccessFactors is a completely role-based permission. So you can control down to the individual field level what each employee can view and or edit inside the system. We can also restart it if something's gone wrong, or we can also cancel it if they're not going to show up. So if I look back, I believe Greg has documents. Yes, Greg has some documents here that he has already completed. So we can come and we can look at their documents that they have done. So this is, of course, the important piece that every HR wants to know. Do we have our I-9? Do we have our W-4? We do have our verification and re-verification. But the other thing that our system can do is we can take any additional documents that you do. So you have an emergency contact form, you have a policy and procedures form, you have a sexual harassment form, you have I need a uniform and I need to sign up for that form. We can create any of those additional forms inside the system. And just like all the other forms, it's going to pre-populate that common information, and we can use e-signatures. We do have support both native e-signatures as well as an integration with DocuSign for those advanced signatures that we need. So if we look, the global process is slightly different for this, and of course the Pennsylvania. So we can have different processes for different locations, departments, divisions, etc. Same thing with cross-boarding. When your employees change, we can have different steps in that process, right? Are we transferring them? What's the confirmation? And then of course, doing any additional paperwork, right? If they're moving states, they're moving locations, if we're gonna have to change any of those tax forms. This is all form. This particular part right here is form and compliance based. And if we look at offboarding, we can see here we have an initiation step and right where whoever is terminating the individual starts there, then it's sent to the employee who has to say, yes, I agree, I'm leaving, this is why. And then we have an exit interview and a signature step. Okay. And if we want to look, we do have all of those paperwork that we discussed earlier, all of those forms, both the legal forms that are required for each individual country, and then, like I said, if you have any company specific forms, we can also create those inside the system. So our next step is the O in POP, right? The organizational bonding. So now I'm going to log in as a hiring manager, which is who we like to show as doing that part. This is what I call the warm fuzzies. And this is sort of that difference. So the paperwork is the orientation. This is the onboarding, right? That part that needs to last longer than the first week to really show and bring that person up to speed. So this is our onboarding dashboard for the hiring manager. So they're going to come in and here's a welcome message that they're going to send to that new employee. Welcome aboard. This can be a templated thing set by HR. You can lock it down or you can allow your hiring managers to personalize it. We can also pre-configure text messages to go out, right? So it can go out a few weeks before, so excited. It can go out a Friday before, hey, can't wait for you to start on Monday. And then of course, before COVID, we used to say it could go out Monday morning and tell you to park a visitor parking lot and walk inside and talk to Sally. Obviously, for most of us, that last part doesn't happen anymore, but we can still send them those messages to keep them engaged and involved and know that we're just as excited as they are. We can recommend links. Again, they're excited. Let's capitalize on that. Let's get them started researching, right? They can start researching our organization, our competition. If they're right, normally say if they're moving somewhere, they can start learning what restaurants are in the area, where they're going to be. But we can start getting them information so they can start doing research. We can schedule meetings, right? We want their first days and weeks to be busy. We want them to feel important and give them all the tools they need in order to succeed. So especially now, since we can't just walk by and introduce people, let's set up meetings to introduce them to the team, to introduce them to different departments, to introduce them to anyone they might not only need to talk to, but also want to talk to and get to know throughout our organization. And we want to keep these going, not just the first week, but also week 2, 3, and 4. Now, we all know new hire buddies really make a difference. This is going to be their main contact during onboarding, really almost a mentor to guide them through this process. But in addition to that, we can recommend other people. You know, we spend almost 1/3 of our lives at work, so it's important that we make personal connections as well as professional ones. So we can use this to talk about people who would be important to them for their job, but we can also say, hey, look, Rhonda's a runner, you're a runner, you guys should talk, right? She has a dog, you have a dog, you guys should get to know each other. William used to have your position, he's going to be a wealth of information for you. So our system will recommend people, but the manager can also come in and pick and choose anyone not on that list. But just as important, we should notify Rhonda and William. Same thing. Hey, Greg is going to start. He's also a runner. You should reach out to him. Okay, so furnishing equipment, that procurement piece, right? Who needs what? Well, you notice here there's a big red exclamation point. That's to get your attention and tell you something's happened with it. So if we come in here, we will look and we will see that this is pending, that we have actually sent this workflow off and it's sitting with Jerry choked. So I can come here and I can nudge Jerry and say, hey, Jerry, I need you to approve this so we can be sure that Greg is going to get his computer. But all of these here can be pre-configured, and we can come in and we can say yes or no, right? Do they need a specific type of badge? All of these drop downs can be pre-configured by your organization. And then we have a checklist, because as much as we want everything to be able to be done inside the system, not everything can, right? We need to add people to distribution lists. We need to invite the new hire to standing meetings, right? We've all been there. It's Wednesday morning at our 10 a.m. staff meeting. Where's Greg? He started on Monday. Oh, we forgot to add him to the list for that meeting. So we need to be sure to do things, especially since we're all remote now, right? Again, we used to say the company picnic, the Christmas party. We're not doing so much of that right now, but hopefully we will soon. And then, of course, set goals, right? Let's set our 30-day, our 60-day, our 90-day objectives. Really let them know what the expectations are and what that we're going to be comparing their performance to. So the last P is participation. So let's now log in as Greg and see what he sees when he logs into the system. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm actually using a number for him. So he's not an actual employee yet. He's not hired, right? So he hasn't started work. So we are using his personal email instead of his work email. And that's why he has a number instead of a name as his login information. And you see here, he has very limited access on what he has, right? Our role-based permission. It's very, very limited on what he has access to. As soon as he starts and becomes an employee, he'll have access to the full system. So that welcome message that we saw Molly fill out, the first time he logs in, he will see that. But we've logged in as him a few times, so we don't see it. So what is here to help him out? Well, a couple of things. We have something here called Show Me, which is a video that we can record that will show your employees how to use each page inside the system. We also have a new hire tour, which he can come in and take, and it will show him exactly where to click and what to do. So he can come in, he can click here and finish his paperwork. If we had signed him up for any training, right? So we can get them started if you have our learning system with any orientation, onboarding, if you want health and safety training, anything like that, we can have them start ahead of time prior to their actual start date, and he'd have a tile here that he could click into. But if we look here, we can see here are all of my peers. I can see their names. I can look at their full profile and learn a little bit about them. This tile is those useful contacts that we set up. So this is the new hire buddy. This is Rhonda. And this is, right, so if we look here, here's Rhonda, right? She's a runner, you're a runner, you should get to know her. And here's William, he used to have your position. So all that information, and here's my buddy, is right here as well. Here are those links that we sent for you to start researching. If we wanted, we can have another tile that says what to bring on your first day, right? Bring your driver's license, bring your ID. And then, of course, we have this tile, which is where to go. And if we click on this link, it takes us directly to Google Maps, which is really nice if they're doing it on their mobile. It pulls up directions right from Google Maps, telling them exactly how to get there. So that's the new hires participation. I want to show you one other piece around participation, and that is that JAM that I mentioned, which is that social collaboration tool. I'm actually going to log out as Greg, and I'm going to go back in as Tessa, because Tessa is an admin on the site, and I can show you some few additional features that she could do that Greg would not be able to. So this is our social collaboration tool, as we were saying. So this is really that cross between LinkedIn and Facebook to get everyone inside our organization to collaborate. Now there's a lot of different types of pages, right? We're gonna get in and show you the onboarding new hire page, but that's not all it can be used for, right? This is a landing page. This one's more focused on learning, but they can be specific for courses. They can be contests. They can be external customers. They can be pure collaboration on a project, right? Everyone's remote working on different projects. They can all come together and work on it here on one of these jam groups. So let's look at the onboarding group. So this is a private group. It can be private. It can be open to all employees. It can also be open to external people if you want. So we can look at our group settings, right? We can also check our email notifications. So if we're a member of this group, we can have control how often we want to get notified of any changes to the group. And Tessa is an admin, so she also has access to some of the admin settings inside the group. So as we scroll through, you see we can have things here on the top like a banner. We can include orientation guides. We can have videos. We can have discussions. We can have a to-do list. We can show who our HR is. We can scroll through and look at our recently joined members. We can set up assignments for different weeks. And here's where we have our activity feed. And this is where we get that social collaboration part, right? It can be Q&A on different topics or a general Q&A form. And people can post questions. They can tag people. They can post images, videos, documents. They can ask questions. They can have polls or ideas and discussions. And then people can like and comment on it. You can have people like Tessa be experts. So that way when your new hires are looking at this, they can say, oh, Tessa's the expert. So I know I'm getting the expert answer instead of just Jennifer, another employee, answering that question. And then we can have different pages, right? So we can talk about, here's our management team, here's our HR contacts, here's our company information. So we can have all of our documents, our policies, our facts and figures. We can have information on benefits here. And then we have all of our discussions as well. As you see, we can have subgroups, we can have forums, events, we can have a knowledge base. Now, some of these, right, we have the admin because Tessa is an admin, so we do have a dashboard that we can get into. And so she can look at the analytics of this. How many people are logging in? How many are following? How many are subscribing? How engaged are people? What's our collaboration score, right? What are the current members? What are they doing? How active is everybody inside of this jam group? The other thing that we can do as an admin is we have complete control over all of these sections in here. So this runs on widgets, sorry. So as we go in here and we click edit, it's all widgets, right? And we can add widgets above, below, to the left, to the right. We can divide different types of pages and we can add different types of widgets. So if I want to add a widget, I can add multimedia, I can add a poll, I can add image, I can add a slideshow or a rotating banner. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to make a rotating banner. It's impossible if you don't know HTML code and what you're doing. But our widgets make it this easy. So we can really personalize these pages and the content in them as HR and be able to really manage these groups that allow for this collaboration, right? We can have events. So if we want everybody to come on and participate in an idea sharing day, we can do that as well. Okay. So that's JAM, very exciting portal to get people to collaborate. That can be used, like I said, just onboarding, but also for right now with COVID and everyone apart, it's also a good way to get people involved. So now we're going to go to Qualtrics. Now, of course, you could have this with single sign-on, SSO, in your system. So this is measuring that efficiency and that effectiveness. So this is that engagement tool, the survey tool. We can do pulse surveys, employee engagement surveys, onboarding, offboarding, customer surveys. So let's quickly look at both the onboarding and the offboarding surveys. So again, we are Tessa and we are looking at the onboarding survey. This is the overview dashboard of it. And we can see here, there's filters at the top, so we can slice and dice this data down to really get focus on where we want to. So you see all of this data and information changed as we put that filter on. So we can set these questions, right? Here's what it's like to be at the company. If you hover over any of these eyes, it will tell you exactly what they've used as the measurement on it, right? Are new hires having a positive start? 61% say the experience is good and 72% are saying we're being engaged. This is now broken down by department. And this is a really good one because it's showing you over time, if we're taking these every quarter, where is that engagement going? How can we improve it? These graphs here I love because what it's showing you is anything that's blue is going to create a better onboarding experience. And anything that's sort of this color, just keep it where it is. It's not going to give you as much, right? Your importance scale is here. So anything higher is more important for you to deal with, right? So enough one-on-one time with your manager. You need to get people more one-on-one time with their manager. This is red. This is where we should focus. This is the one we need to work on the most. These are all doing good. But then we can also drill down into this. So if we look here at the detail on the role, this is now really talking about, remember I said that employees really have three concerns: their role, their team, and their manager. So this is really focusing on those, the role, the team, and the manager. So here they are talking about the role. How accurately was the role described? How well do I understand my responsibilities? Is it interesting? We can talk about the team. We can talk about the manager, right? How many are having career conversations? How helpful were those conversations? With this nice bright color coding, so it's very easy and insightful, right? How often are we having those one-on-one time? Remember we said 72% said this is the most important part. And it looks like a lot are having it once a month or less. So this should be an area of focus to improve. Same thing with training. So all my scores, this is where we look at the questions. So this is the questions with the responses, and each of these are actually categories. So if I go through, I can look very specifically at each question and what those responses were. And by the way, this is Tessa, our HR's view. Just like anywhere else in the system, we can control what data and information each person can view. So you can make it so a manager can only see their department, or maybe they can only see the results and not the questions, right? You have complete control over the permissions and the roles. I'm actually we'll come back and answer questions. I see we've gotten a couple of questions and we'll answer those at the end. Okay, just a couple more minutes and then I'll get back and ask those. So the text analytics in this tool is truly amazing because it comes through, it's going to look to you, give you not only here's the results, here's what has been talked about the most, what's been responded to most of all. Are these positive, negative, or mixed sentiments in regards to these? But then it's going to give you a Wordle, and it's going to give you not only their answers, but also look at the engagement by the job level, right? They really analyze each individual answer, even when they're just free-form text. And then this last one here is our response rates. So we can look at how many responses, we can look over time to see how we're doing on those rates. So let's look at the exit interview. Very similarly, it's going to give us, start off with the dashboard. Again, we can slice and dice this information with all of our filters up here. So a lot of this, you know, sometimes those exit interviews are done where HR sits in front of the computer and the employee's there, and the employee has to tell the answer to HR and they have to type it in. So we're always worried about the level of honesty when that happens. This tool gives the leaving employee a chance to be completely honest and anonymous. So we can divide this up by the role, the manager, the team, and the pay. You will control which of these categories you would like in your responses. And it's also really focused, as I said, on those brand ambassadors, creating people who are still happy as they leave, right? We want to make sure people are talking positively about our company on Glassdoor and other social media, right? So we can look at our trends over time. How is our current score? It's not that great. Where is it by department? And again, just like with the onboarding, how can we create them better? So if we focus here on key progressions, one-on-one time with the manager, recognition, if we focus on these while they're still with the company, that's going to have the greatest impact on creating more brand ambassadors. And of course, we can look quickly at, here are the reasons for leaving, and then it dives down again into the detail on the role. Right, again, with some of the text feedback right here. Same thing on the manager, the team, and the pay and the company. And then, of course, we have the survey questions here as well. So I want to finish. I know I did exit interview quickly, but I want to make sure I can answer any questions that are here. So what companies are part of the survey, and also what size companies? So really all companies, and that's really, these are really good questions because there really is a misconception about SAP that they only work with large companies, when in fact 80% of their clients, of those using their tools, are in the small and medium sized space. HR strategies ourselves, we really focus on anyone with say 150 to 2,000 employees. That's really where our sweet spot is. We've done much higher, we've done lower. As SuccessFactors itself, their smallest client has 7 employees, right? And their largest has thousands and, you know, hundreds of thousands of employees. So it does the wide range. The advantage of a tool like this is it's all price based on number of users. So what it really does is the small companies can use the same tool as the larger companies. Right? You're still getting all of the bells and whistles, all of the features and functionality that they have. You don't have to give up depth for cost. Right? We also have an app. Right, the Qualtrics can all be done on your phone. Most of this can also be done on a phone or a mobile, or a tablet. So you don't have to have a computer, right? Another thing we have seen is companies where there aren't a lot of computers, they will install like an iPad in a central location so people can use it. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. So I hope I've shown you how modernizing your employee process can create efficiencies, reduce that manual work, all while increasing consistency and improving the experience for your hiring managers, HR, and your employees. Right? A smooth, ongoing onboarding process is key to creating productive and engaged employees. And of course, with this Qualtrics tool, you can measure the effectiveness on a real-time basis for actionable analytics. So if you'd like any additional information on this, please do reach out and contact us. We're happy to give you any details. We do management consulting on the HR if we want to talk just about your practices and procedures and your policies. If you're interested in any of the software you've seen, we're happy to help you with that. And there will also be a copy of this presentation on our website. Thank you very much.